Going to turn our attention to the international newspapers. Olivia's back with us here on set. You're starting with US-Israeli relations. Benjamin Netanyahu apparently been snubbed by Barack Obama?
Yes, it's the front page of the Jerusalem Post this morning. The US has no time for Israel. Apparently, it's quite a dramatic headline. But what it means is that Barack Obama's decided that he doesn't have time in his schedule to meet with Benjamin Netanyahu when he's in the States. And the article's suggesting that this is symptomatic of the ongoing tensions between the two countries, namely over the issue of Iran. Netanyahu's criticised Obama for not being tough enough on Tehran, and the phrase he used was that the US needs to put red lines in front of Iran. And that allegory has been taken up by Haaretz, another Israeli paper, in an op-ed piece that's very critical about Netanyahu, actually. They say that Netanyahu should put red lines on his malice towards Obama, saying that it's not a great strategy to be so overtly critical of Washington, and that actually antagonising the US government plays into the hands of Iran and puts Israel in a dangerous position. The Independent in the UK, on the other hand, had some advice for Obama in this article entitled "All Roads Lead to the White House Through Florida and Israel," saying that he needs to tread very carefully when it comes to Israel, and that includes American Jews, because in 2008 he got almost 80% of the Jewish vote, especially in swing states like Ohio, Florida and Pennsylvania. It's very important for him as a campaign issue. He's come in for criticism from Republicans, of course, for forgetting this demographic, but this article points out, quite interestingly, that he made a very significant move by blocking the Palestinian bid for statehood at the UN last year, so that's something that will be remembered.
He also pulled out another story, sort of linked, to do with Palestinian territories and settlements.
Exactly. So, of course, behind this story, there's always the issue of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. A number of papers are taking a longer look at conditions in the Palestinian territories right now. The New York Times has got a long report on the situation in Gaza entitled 7 Years of Lean Peacemaking. They say that it's been a very tough time for Gaza, comparing the population of Palestinians with Jewish settlers in East Jerusalem and the West Bank. There's an amazing statistic in this article that says the UN believes that within 10 years, Gaza could be uninhabitable for humans. And the Jerusalem Post is also focusing on Palestinian issues, saying that could the recent riots in the West Bank be the beginning of a Palestinian spring, the kind of uprising that we've seen in other Arab countries? The consensus is no, this is just a protest over the economic conditions they're living in, and it's unlikely to have any negative effect on the Palestinian Authority.
You know, we've seen some amazing images today out of Catalonia, demonstrations there, people saying that they want to become autonomous from Madrid and the rest of Spain.
Yes, well, let's start with the Catalan press, La Vanguardia paper. They had the protest on the front of their paper this morning with the headline, "Enough is enough." Excuse me, frog in my throat. They're very proud of the fact that 1.5 million people were out there calling for independence, and they basically say they're sick of picking up the tax bill for Madrid. They want their region to have financial and political autonomy. El País, of course, the Madrid paper, doesn't agree. They say that independence won't solve any problems for them, and they'll have the same debt problems as other European nations anyway.
And finally, this is a story which is happening in Rome, but it reminds me of bridges in Paris, which are also covered in padlocks. Tell us about this one.
Well, I think you're thinking of Le Pont des Arts, which is covered in lots of little padlocks.
There's a couple now in Paris as well, aren't there? Yeah.
The Milleville Bridge in Rome was covered in little padlocks for 6 years, but that's come to an end. They're being hacked off by authorities because they're worried that the bridge, which is a Roman bridge, will crumble under the weight of them.
I worry about that in Paris as well, actually.
Yeah, there's so many of them. Yeah. They've got to, present a bit of a weight. Yeah. Now, this comes from a tradition of a book written by Federico Mocha, in which the protagonist locks his love onto the bridge and throws the key into the Tiber, which is a very romantic gesture. And La Repubblica is reporting on the issue, and Il Tempo, the Roman paper, interviewed a few local lovebirds who said that they're very sad about the demise of this gesture.
It is a bit of a shame, but you can understand why. Olivia, thanks very much. Go and get a glass of water. Olivia Salzo-Winsper on France 24 with the international papers today.